if you are watching this and it happens to be past Monday, because this is when it's being recorded, you'll understand that number one, it starts tonight. I'm excited. I can't wait. Ravens football is back. This is for my Ravens fans or my Ravens haters or my Ravens followers, whatever. I'm excited about this. There's a game on Monday Night Football against the Raiders, and they come back and they have to deal with the Kansas City Chiefs. We all know how it ended in unfortunate circumstances, but it's a new season now. So all the excitement is back, and I think everybody's ready to see what all 32 teams really have in them, especially with all the changes that we saw. Everybody's ready, and I'm ready for a little bit of Ravens football. We're talking Ravens tonight, a little special edition of the Baltimore Colts show, which you can see every single week, where we, right here at the Instant Classic Wrestling Podcast, do our picks. We talk about the Ravens, we talk about the Chiefs, we talk about the Colts, and we talk about the Browns. But I want to do a little bit more team-centric content as well for you guys. Last year, I did the quick thoughts videos, which I'm going to also be doing after the game, as always. But all my Ravens fans, hit that share button, hit that like, send this podcast, this audio, this video, however you may be watching or listening, send it to every Ravens fan you know, every football fan you know. I mean, we need all the football fans in here, but nonetheless, I got more to say. This is your Baltimore Ravens preview right here on the Baltimore Colts show, sponsored by the Instant Classic Wrestling Podcast. Welcome in to the Instant Classic Wrestling Podcast, the only podcast that is always, I mean always, he means always, they mean always, you mean always, she means always, an instant classic.
Danny Dunn! Hi, Jake.
We will see you on the flippity dippity. Oh yeah.
All right, what is going on, good people? Intro went a little bit longer than it usually does, but nonetheless, what is going on? DJ Bill here from the Instant Classic Wrestling Podcast, the only podcast that is always, and I mean always, an instant classic. And of course, one of our feature shows is the Baltimore Colts show. We talk about the Ravens. We talk about the Colts, of course, as the name suggests. We also talk about the Browns. We got a Browns fan on there. We also talk about the Chiefs. We got a Chiefs fan on there. And anybody who wants to come on and talk a little football, whatever team you may represent, you know, come on by. Because I feel like I can speak for all football fans that may be watching this, and maybe some non-football fans, who knows. But I don't think there is any more exciting time than the start of football. If you're a big football fan, of course, if you're a basketball fan, as you can see behind me, of course, basketball is another one of those things I absolutely love. I can't describe the feeling of watching, in the sports world at least, watching the Ravens play, the Sixers play, and a good dang on wrestling show. I tell you, I can't even imagine. It's freaking awesome. NFL football is back, of course. On Sunday, we had all those crazy games. We'll talk a lot more about those on the Baltimore Colts show edition of the picks. For those of you who may be watching, who are actually members of the podcast, you may be surprised by this video. I didn't tell anybody I was doing this video, but for those of you, a little preliminary stuff. For those of you who, follow the podcast, of course, I want to do some more team-centric stuff this year, especially for the Ravens. I want to join this little Ravens media community, but I kind of want to encourage Adam, who is a Browns fan, to do some more stuff. I want to encourage even Justin and Casey as well to do some more stuff. Just for the teams, for people who don't want to friggin' sit here and watch all the watch the whole picks or like they want to focus on their team. I want them to have that outlet on this particular podcast as well. Shout out to Adam, by the way, watching. Adam's got this live feed down to a T. I swear every time I go live, Adam is on it. But of course, Adam and I have some good discussions later on in the year when the Ravens play the Browns. But I want to give you guys a quick little preview. I wanted to do this thing. Minnesota and Vegas Raiders. Oh no, don't go Vegas Raiders. Not tonight. Okay, maybe next week. Maybe next week. But nonetheless, I'm gonna do a little small, short, semi-short preview. We're about where are we at? Not even an hour. not even an hour away from kickoff. Actually, we are. The NFL's weird, right? They start the games at like 8:15. So yes, we are somewhere near an hour away from kickoff during this recording. But I'm excited coming into the season. This is one of those weird seasons where everything gets started and it feels like there's a lot of issues going on in Baltimore when it comes to the football team and not the one in Washington. But my thing is right now I'm talking about injuries, and it's weird. I didn't do this preview a long time ago. I didn't do this preview weeks ago because it seems like now this is where all the drama's coming in, right? Like last week, J.K. Dobbins went down in the last preseason game, and then freaking Justice Hill goes down, Gus Edwards goes down, Marcus Peters goes down, and that was all like within the span of like a week and a half or 2 weeks. So interestingly enough, I didn't do a preview early on, but at the same time, it's kind of a good thing because I think back then I would have had different thoughts than I had now. But in a way, I think I have the same thoughts. I feel like from the running back position, which is I think what everybody is looking at and looking for when it comes to the signings of Le'Veon Bell, when it comes to the signings of Trenton Cannon, when it comes to the signings of Latavius Murray, when it comes to those guys, like I think it's kind of going to just be next man up for those guys who they signed in. Then you got Tyson Williams as well, who I think is going to impress people. I think I can see Williams having a year like Gus had in his rookie year, where like he's almost in a way kind of an unknown. I think this is his second year in the league. He's in a way kind of an unknown. He's kind of one of those guys who people don't really know right now, and Gus was the same way. Like people didn't know who Gus was, but like everybody in the Ravens flock, in the Ravens community understood who Gus Edwards was and why he was so crucial to us. Whether they had Mark Ingram come up, whether they drafted J.K. Dobbins, we still understood why Gus was gonna be this ridiculous guy. But my thing is looking at the running back situation, and what makes it so unfortunate is number one, you got J.K. Dobbins who was coming in, and you're like, okay, this is gonna be his season to kind of be the lead horse, to be the lead back. Then he gets hurt, and you're like, okay, we hate it. And I even had a guy at work who's a Bills fan. Shout out to Matthew Basil. I had a guy at work tell me, he was like, although it's unfortunate JK got hurt, because he got hurt, Gus is going to be able to shine now. And I was upset about the JK Dobbins signing, but I understood what we had in Gus Edwards. And then Gus gets hurt. And I'm like, I mean, are you serious? And then, of course, before that, Justice Hill got hurt, which, he was more of a special teams guy, but with the injuries at running back already, he felt like he would take a step up a little bit more and be forced to do a little bit more in the offense. So now when you look at the running back situation, it is Tyson Williams, who I think will start tonight, number one. But you got Tyson Williams, who I think is definitely going to start tonight. And then, and he's listed on the depth chart as the starter. Latavius Murray is listed as the second back on the depth chart. And then Trenton Cannon. I'm not sure where Le'Veon Bell is. He may be still in the practice squad right now, which is a little surprising that they went with Cannon over Le'Veon. But I still feel like from a running back position, I think the Ravens will be fine. I think Lamar is such a threat at quarterback, not only running the ball, but passing the ball as well. I think because he is such a threat, I think it opens up the running game. I think Tyson is going to have a good year. Even, you could even say a breakout year. I think anybody who runs with Lamar tends to have good season because Lamar is such a threat as well. And that's no offense to anybody who lines up with him. But at the same time, you still got to deal with Lamar's speed, but at the same time, Lamar's ability to pass. We can't forget the MVP season where he led the league in touchdown passes, albeit Lamar can't throw the football, so they say. But anyway, nonetheless, running back wise, I think the Ravens will be fine. I think people are going to overblow the hole that is created now in the running back room with J.K. Dobbins being gone, with Gus being gone. Now, and that's not me saying there's this isn't a big loss. It's a huge loss, right? Like JK and Gus are huge losses. Absolutely huge losses. Yes, Mark Andrews may have to pick up the slack and get 500 yards receiving. But like, it's a huge loss. But I think at the same time, the effectiveness of Lamar Jackson and his threat, I think, is huge. And like, I think sometimes people get annoyed at Ravens fans for like trying to credit Lamar so much, but he hasn't really had a true number one receiver yet, and has broken 1,000 yards each of the last 2 seasons when it comes to rushing the football, and led the league in passing the season before. And if it wasn't for the COVID issue, probably would have still thrown for 3,000 yards last year as well. Because remember, he missed those 2 games for that. But offensively, my thing is like tonight, when it comes to like the Raiders game, I think it's going to be a lot of what we saw last year. Because when you look at these receivers, with the exception of Sammy Watkins, there's no new receivers out there because Miles Boykin is hurt. So they kind of switch out Miles Boykin and Sammy Watkins. And then you got why am I blanking on his name? Rashad Bateman. I don't know why I was blanking on his name, but Rashad Bateman, the rookie who's looked pretty good as well. What I do expect from the Ravens a little bit more, James Crochet is going to play, and James Crochet is going to ball out. I think James Crochet is a problem, and I think the unfortunate injury to Miles Boykin opens up a little bit more room for James Crochet to come in, because James Crochet is a lot like, I made this comparison last year with Dez Bryant, but James Crochet is kind of like a younger version, I think, of Anquan Bolding in a way where he will go up and catch the football no matter the traffic that is in front of him. He's got strong hands. He's going to catch everything that you throw at him. He kind of reminds me of like a Kamar Aiken in a way where you're going to throw it to him and he's not going to drop it. And I think, unless, of course, we see something different on Monday night, I feel like it's going to be fine. I don't want to talk too much about Monday night because, of course, after tonight it's going to be dated. But at the same time, James Crochet, I think, is going to have probably a breakout year this year, because he's going to kind of be the gritty, grimy receiver that's going to be in there. I think Bateman could probably do that, but I see Bateman doing a lot of his work from the outside. I see them moving Hollywood a little bit more into the slot, and letting him use his speed to do what he needs to do. I hope they let him kind of work in space a little bit more instead of just having him run go routes the whole time. But I think when it comes offensively, James Crochet is going to be big. When it comes to the offensive line, I think the Ravens retooled pretty well, losing Zeus to Kansas City, of all places that I think any Ravens fan wanted him to go. But losing him and having Ronnie Stanley come back, they got Villanueva in free agency. They got Zeitler in free agency. Tyree Phillips is still going to be out there. He's actually listed as a starter, which I'm actually a little surprised. And then Bradley Bozeman playing center, which I think, if I'm not mistaken, I think that's a flip. I don't think Bradley Bozeman played center last year. I'm pretty sure he played guard last year. So that's interesting. They must be seeing some things from Bradley Bozeman as well. But nonetheless, Adam, you're gonna have to fill me in. I'm blanking. Oh, okay, yeah. Miles made Zeus look like a fool. Yeah, I heard about that. I didn't get to watch the left side of the line as much as I wanted to last night, but yeah, I heard it was pretty rough. But I mean, that's him probably getting used to that as well, and he expects to see. I think he'll get better. I hate that we couldn't keep him, but you don't want to keep somebody who doesn't want to be there. So defensively, the one thing I want to key in on when it comes to the defensive side of the football is the pass rush again. I want to key in on the pass rush. It looks like Derek Wolfe is out for the Raiders game. So that's gonna hurt a little bit, but it gives a guy like Justin Ellis a chance to come in a little bit more, and do a little bit. He's a big freaking hoss, big dude. Broderick Washington gives him another chance as well. Of course, you got Brandon Williams, you got Calais Campbell, Justin Metabike. He'll probably switch in on that left and right side on the offensive line. I think so. I think that's going to happen. I think we're going to see a lot of Justin Metabike. I feel like Tyus Bowser is going to prove some people wrong. I think that's going to be something he's going to really try to do, because I saw a lot of good play from Tyus Bowser last year. Personally, I felt like Tyus Bowser outplayed Yannick Ngakoue last year, and I think he outplayed I don't know why my names are blanking on me, but Yannick Ngakoue and Judon. I think he outplayed them both, even though I think Judon played inspired last year a little bit because he did want to. I think he did want an extension, and he wanted big money, and he got it elsewhere. But at the same time, I think Tyus has a lot to prove this year. When it comes to inside linebacker, once again, another injury spot that has to do with Malik Harrison. Right now the starters are Malik Harrison and Patrick Queen. LJ Fort is the injured middle linebacker, which hurts as well. I think they picked up Josh Bynes, if I'm not mistaken. I thought I saw that somewhere. They may have dropped him back again, or he may be on practice squad or something. That may be where he is, but I could have swore they picked up Josh Bynes, which I preferred Josh Bynes over LJ Ford at the time, way back when, but LJ Ford had a good year last year. So he definitely, it wasn't that I thought they were both good. I thought they were going to keep them both as good, veteran guys to have, but I guess they didn't need them when they had, Patrick Queen coming in the draft class last year. But Patrick Queen coming back for his second year, I think Malik Harrison is gonna do well. He's gonna be forced to step up a little bit more. Chris Board has always played well. He's always been aggressive to the football. That's a guy I'm looking to have a good year this year. And then of course, the guy that I think sometimes we forget, and I think is going to improve the pass rush as well, Justin Houston. A sneaky good pickup, through free agency, and I think he's going to be huge for the pass rush because you look at it, Calais is always coming after the ball. Tyus is going to be much improved. Justin Houston is going to help the pass rush a lot. Of course, if Brandon Williams is in on pass rush situations, he's huge, so he takes up multiple bodies. So that's kind of the thing. Like, and then when Derek Wolfe comes back, if they can keep that core together for multiple football games, that's going to be the biggest thing. Because last year they couldn't keep all of them on the field at the same time, and of course had to go make the move for Yannick Ngakoue. Which unfortunately only lasted for a year. But I think the pass rush is going to be improved. I think a lot of people are going to be like, well, what did they do? But I think Justin Houston being here, I think it is bigger than it seems. And from the Wired, if any of the fans watch the Wired, and of course other fans of other teams, you always sometimes you learn different things that maybe you didn't realize from the Wired. So like for me, seeing how excited Justin Houston was to, how excited he was to be in Baltimore. That was cool. Corner's always been like up and down for me because I've always talked about like when Jimmy Smith's not in, it just there's something about Jimmy Smith that screams stability, and I think he had a semi-off year last year, but something about Jimmy Smith screams stability. When Jimmy Smith is in the game, especially when it comes down to being, like the third guy in the rotation, especially as he gets older, as he's dealt with injury issues and he's out once again for the Raiders game. But with Jimmy Smith, I still feel like I'm still a little bit afraid because Marcus Peters isn't there anymore, right? Can these other guys pick up the slack a little bit, or are the Ravens going to have to go pick up a veteran out of free agency, which is I think is what they're going to do. They're leaning heavy on Anthony Averett, and I think it was Engraven who I was watching who said this. The more he plays, the more he seems to get better. So I'm hoping putting a lot of pressure on him to maybe even be the guy opposite of Marlon is going to be good. Because I think if Tavon Young can stay healthy, because Tavon Young is really good, but he can't stay on the field. That's my only fear with Tavon Young. But at the same time, if he can stay healthy, I think the cornerback situation won't be nearly as bad because Tavon did well, especially when I think at one point it was him, Peters, and Humphrey, and it was just like, and then you add in Jimmy Smith in there too, and it was just like shut down at that point. But, with Jimmy Smith's injury issues almost every year, but he's so reliable, you don't want to get rid of him. And then he's so reliable when he is on the field. This is going to be a big year for Anthony Averett, and at least at worst is going to be a prove-it year. Is Anthony Avery good enough? Is he even as good as Tavon Young? That's going to be the question, because Tavon Young is good, especially when it comes to the slot. And Marlon's going to do what Marlon does. So I'm excited to see Marlon. I'm not going to read too much into Rashad Bateman beating him on that route in practice. I'm really not. I'm gonna let that one slide and say that's the greatness of Rashad Bateman. That's where I'm gonna put that. But nonetheless. And by the way, Adam, I will give you the login info so you can hop in and give us some Browns content, as well. I always forget about that, but I got to do that. But of course, special teams, we're good. Justice Hill is a big loss, I think, for special teams. Just my opinion. I think Justice Hill is a big loss, just because he was playing out of his mind when it came to special teams. I really do. And then, like I said, I think overall, I'm excited for the season. I'm excited for the season. Of course, starting with the Raiders, then you got Kansas City, which I think is going to be a tough one. But I think eventually the Ravens have to get over that Kansas City hump. My personal opinion on Kansas City is they're good, but either they're doing one or two things: they're playing down to their competition, or they're not as good as they look. And I think the Super Bowl showed a little bit about Kansas City in terms of weaknesses that they could have. But I was talking to Adam about this, ironically enough, with him watching. I was talking to Adam about this yesterday, and I'm like, there's no way, and I said this a couple of times, there's no way that the Chiefs can keep letting people hang around in games or playing like they're playing regular season football and end up winning these games. They're not going to survive for that long. No matter how good you are, you're not going to give people games and survive, for that long in that way. I really don't think that's how that's going to go. But, starting off with the Raiders, that's a tough game. I think it's a winnable game, but I definitely think it's a tough game. I expect the Ravens to be a 12-13 win team this year. When I look at the schedule, I think they can beat the Chiefs. If I'm gonna put a loss on the schedule, I mean, you got to kind of go through past history, and I pick them every year to beat the Chiefs, and probably even in the official picks, I'll probably pick the Chiefs to win that game. And of course, Adam won't be surprised by that anymore, but I'm sure everybody else will. I'll probably pick the Chiefs to win that game, and of course, I'll cheer my butt off for the Ravens. But I think in an official picks capacity, do you win them all? Probably not. So I'd probably go for a loss on that one. And then of course, I think they'll beat the Lions. Still a tough game. I feel like they kind of came on at the end of that game last night. But I think they'll get better as they go along. But I think early in the season, that's when you want the Lions. So that'll be tough. Denver will be tough because I think Teddy Bridgewater is going to bring them a little stability that they haven't had in quite some time. So I think Teddy is one of the more underrated quarterbacks in the league. I feel like I don't know what he did last year in Carolina for them to kick him out after 1 year, but of course they did get Donald, but still, I hate to see that, but I think that's a winnable game. Colts is another tough one. Last year took us to the wire. I could still see, the Ravens winning that one as well. Chargers, I think against a young quarterback, I think the Ravens should win that game. Bengals, for some reason, I see the Ravens splitting against the Bengals. I don't know what it is. The Bengals look better this year, and the Ravens, for some reason, like to let the Bengals stick around, even when they shouldn't. And I think they got a lot of talent. They got a lot of talent, and the Ravens are hurting at corner too. So I'm gonna go with a split for the Bengals. Of course, the first game in Week 7, I'm gonna go with. I'm gonna say they win it at home, and so they'll win this one in Week 7 and then lose the other one later on in the season. So that's 2 losses that I feel like could be possible. The Vikings, I still think is a tough one. I think it's the NFL and all games are tough. The Vikings is a tough one because you don't know what team you're gonna end up going against when it comes to the Vikings. But I think that's a winnable game. Dolphins, once again, with Tua. I think they're going to continue to get better, but I think that's also another winnable game. for the Ravens. I think did I have them at 2 losses so far? Bears, I think by this time we'll be in full Justin Fields mode in terms of Ravens versus Bears. And, of course, I think that defense will find its way. But I think at the same time, I think the Ravens will be and found themselves too with a lot of these new additions by week 11. Hopefully, I would hope so. But with a lot of these new additions, I think they'll be then figured out where to put the key pieces. There'll probably be a signing here or there. There'll probably be a corner signed at some point. Maybe maybe shoring up the pass rush once again as well. Week 11 so far away, so who knows? But then week 12 against the Browns. And this is another one where I think Ravens will split. So that's 3 losses there. So, I think the Ravens will split against the Browns as well. My hope is that they sweep the Bengals. And if they're going to split with anybody, it's going to be the Steelers and the Browns, just because I don't want them to split against the whole division because that's not a good look. But at the same time, I think it's possible. So, with the Browns, I think it's going to be a split again, too. Of course, first game in week 12, which is a weird portion of the schedule. Week 12, they play the Browns. Week 13, they play the Steelers. Week 14, they play the Browns. I could see them winning the game in Baltimore against the Browns on Sunday Night Football and then playing the Steelers, getting beaten up because it's the Steelers, and then, not necessarily struggling in week 14, but it being a tough game simply because – simply because you just played the Steelers, and everybody says after the week after you play the Steelers is always pretty rough for the Ravens. Not necessarily even a performance standpoint, but just how you feel. Of course, I think the Ravens will sweep the Steelers this year, and that's not allegiance or anything like that. That's just me feeling like I don't think the Steelers are that good. I think they survived yesterday against the Bills, but at the same time, to me, in my opinion, the Steelers look like the same team that looked like last year. And that may turn into, they're gonna win, they're gonna be undefeated. But if it doesn't matter if you get beat up by the Browns in the playoffs. So yeah, Homer. I'm not being a homer. That's the word I was looking for. I am not being a homer. But I just don't think the Steelers are that good. I'm not feeling like I can put the Steelers at like the bottom feeder portion of the division because when has that happened? But somebody's got to be at the bottom of the division, and if for darn sure ain't gonna be the Ravens, Browns, or the Browns. So that's just my feelings on that. Like I said, Browns, I'll give them that win in Cleveland. I'll give the Browns that win over the Ravens in Cleveland. Green Bay. I feel like Green Bay will be better than the team that we saw last night, but who knows? I'll have to see on this one. This will be one that I'll be looking at a little bit later, but later on in the season. As of right now, as a knee-jerk reaction, I'm gonna go with the Ravens over this one. During this one as well. I think I have the Ravens listed at 4 losses, if I'm not mistaken. Right now, I can't really remember off the top of my head. I didn't write it down, but I think I was at 4. So I think the Packers will be a win just because if we get any sense of the team that the Packers were last night, I'll be excited when the time comes. Bengals, I want to say that the Ravens will split against the Bengals, but I don't know. But also the Bengals seems like a taking care of business type of a situation too. I'm gonna rescind that. I think they're gonna sweep the Steelers and sweep the Bengals. That's what I'm gonna say. I'm gonna rescind that. So I'm back up to 3 losses, I think, again. And then the Rams, tough game, really tough game. I still think the Ravens take care of business. I really do. I mean, I don't know. I really do. I think they take care of business. It's going to be a tough one, but I think they take care of business. They played well against the Rams before, and I think they take care of business. And then week 18, which is weird to say, week 18 with the Steelers, but I ain't mad at it. I think the Ravens win this one too. I'm hoping by this time the Ravens will be buying for a first round bye or something, given the way the schedule went. Let me see if I can remember what I said. I know I said they lose to the Chiefs. I know I said they'd lose to. I know I said they lose to one to the Browns. Did I say one to the Bengals? Or did I rescind that and I'm gonna say one to the Steelers? Either way, that's still 3 losses. Even if I can't remember myself. But anyway, so that's 3 losses on the season. So what's that? 14-3. 14-3, which would be a darn good season. I could still see them dropping one of these tougher games. The Packers could be one. The Rams could be one. I could still see them splitting within the division as well. I think they'll sweep one of the teams, but they'll split within the division in some way. But yeah, I'm gonna go 14-3 on that one. Let's go 14-3 as my early season prediction. That's pretty high hopes. But I think at worst it'll be a 5-loss thing. I think it'll be a 5-loss thing. Yeah, appreciate it, Adam. I couldn't remember, but I think at worst it'll be 5 losses. So what was I saying? 14-3. At worst, it's going to be 12-5. I think 12-5 will be the worst that I see. I think. But nonetheless, definitely hope you guys enjoyed. As always, more Ravens content coming at you soon. Of course, after the Monday night game, I will. After I hate that I'm missing this little video package they're doing. They're talking about Lamar and the cramps, or as Adam says, the runs of the poops, which I think is funny. And he's talking about it. I hope they post this somewhere so I can watch it. But still, I feel like, I'm excited after the game tonight, after the Raiders game on Monday Night Football. It will be. I will do a quick thoughts video. I'm going to give Adam the login so he can talk about the Browns whenever he may please. But as always, hope you guys enjoyed. More Ravens content coming at you soon. Be sure to tune in to the Baltimore Colts show. It is coming up very, very soon. Of course, we'll talk about all things week 1. We'll also talk about some of the craziness that we feel. We may even give like some not as much preseason predictions or whatever. We'll talk a lot on that show. Definitely hope you guys enjoyed. As always, this has been the Baltimore Colts show, presented by the Instant Classic Wrestling Podcast, the only podcast that is always, and I mean always, instant.